Good morning to all of you. So today we'll see the topic choice of measurement systems. So this measurement system is also called as an instrument. So these measurement systems are going to be used for different applications. Okay. So here we will see one example. So based upon that example, how we are going to be choosing the measurement system for the measurement of the physical quantity. So in this case, we are going to be measuring the flow rate by using four different types of instruments like orifice plate, vortex meter, turbine meter, and electromagnetic meter. So by using these four instruments, we are going to be preferring which type of instrument for the measurement of the flow rate. Okay. So here, before we are going to be choosing any instrument or measurement system, so first of all we are going to be writing our requirements here. So after writing our requirements, we are going to be seeing or equating those requirements with the specifications of the different types of instruments. So in this case, our requirement is to measure the flow rate of having 100 cubic meters per hour. Okay, so that is our main requirement. So this requirement is going to be compared with the specifications of orifice plate, vortex meter, turbine meter, and electromagnetic meter. So if our requirements are going to be satisfied with the specifications of all these four instruments, then any one of the instrument is going to be chosen for the measurement of the flow rate. So here in this case, we are going to be measuring the flow rate within the range of 0 to 100 cubic meters per hour in the pipe of 0.15 meters or 6-inch diameter pipe. Okay. So in this case, while we are going to be choosing any particular measurement system for the measurement purpose, we have to consider the initial cost also. So the initial cost of the measurement system includes cost of purchase, delivery cost, installation cost, and commissioning of the complete system. So commissioning means before we are going to be starting that particular instrument for the measurement purpose, what is the amount of cost required? That is called as the commissioning cost here. So here in the previous example, we are going to be taking the four competing measurement systems here. Okay, that is orifice plate, vortex meter, turbine meter, and the electromagnetic primary sensing element. So here we are going to be comparing all the specifications of all these four measurement systems with our requirements here. So you just see this table. So in this table, we have taken the four measurement systems. So these four measurement systems are having the specifications of measurement error, initial cost, annual failure rate, average repair time, and material repair cost. So these are the specifications of all these four measurement systems. So if you compare these all specifications of the four measurement systems, so the cost of the particular instrument which is having less is vortex meter. So in this vortex meter, the initial cost and the failure rate and the repair cost and the material repair cost are all minimum compared to the orifice plate, turbine meter or the electromagnetic meter. So before we are going to be using all these four instruments for the measurement of the flow rate, so first of all we have to see whether all these four instruments are technically feasible or not. So if you take the electromagnetic primary sensing element, it is not technically feasible. So for the measurement of the flow rate of carbon liquids. Okay. So because while we are going to be using any fluid for the measurement of the flow rate by using electromagnetic primary sensing element, so that particular fluid should be conductive. So in this case, our fluid is the non-conductive. So here we cannot use this non-conductive fluid for the measurement of the flow rate by using electromagnetic primary sensing element. So for that reason, this electromagnetic primary sensing element is not technically feasible. Then we have to take only these three systems: orifice plate, vortex meter, and the turbine meter. So if you compare these three systems, system 1, system 2 and system 3, the system 2 will be having the total lifetime operating cost is minimum compared to the orifice plate and the turbine meter. So for that case, we are going to be taking the vortex meter for the measurement of the flow rate. So here in this case, we are going to be comparing all the specifications like measurement error. In orifice plate it is 0.2, in vortex meter it is 0.1, in turbine meter it is 0.03. So 0.1 means it is minimum compared to orifice plate and the turbine. Okay. So similarly, if you take the initial cost also, the initial cost of the vortex meter is somewhat less compared to orifice plate and turbine meter. So based upon these specifications, the vertex meter will be having low cost compared to orifice plate and the turbine meter. But it is better to use the turbine meter only, because the turbine meter provides the high amount of accuracy compared to the vertex meter and the orifice plate. But the turbine meter gives less amount of reliability, and the operating cost is also more compared to vertex and orifice plate. So in this case, based upon our requirement, we are going to be choosing either turbine or the vertex meter. Okay. Suppose if you require large amount of accuracy, then you can prefer turbine meter only. So this is the configurations of the four systems: orifice plate, so which is a electronic D2P transmitter, square router or recorder; vertex element, frequency to voltage converter or recorder. So similarly turbine element also. So coming to electromagnetic element, it is a self-balancing potentiometer or recorder. So coming to total lifetime operating cost. So this plays a major role while we are going to be getting the reliability of the particular instrument. So the total lifetime operating cost can be given as the sum of the initial cost of the system. So the initial cost of the system means it includes the purchase cost, the delivery cost, the installation cost, and the commissioning of the particular system. So commissioning means before starting the instrument, what is the amount of expenses we are going to be getting? That is called as the commissioning cost. So it is the sum of initial cost of the system plus cost of failures and maintenance over lifetime of the system plus cost of measurement error over lifetime of the system. So the sum of all these three includes the total lifetime operating cost of the system. So generally the total lifetime operating cost of the measurement system should be minimum while we are going to be choosing the particular measurement system here. Okay. So here we will derive an equation for the total lifetime operating cost. So first of all we will see what is the initial cost of the system. Okay. So the best system for a given application is the one with minimum total lifetime operating cost. Okay. So before deriving one equation for the initial cost of the system, so let us assume that the system lifetime is T years. So in this case we are going to be taking one measurement system and the lifetime of that measurement system is T years. So after the completion of T years, we cannot use that measurement system for our measurement of different types of physical quantities. So the average failure rate is delta faults per year. So for 1 year, if you assume that we are going to be getting delta faults. So delta means it is some numerical value. So then the total number of faults will be equal to delta into T. So where delta indicates the number of failures per year and T indicates the total system lifetime. Suppose if you assume that the total system lifetime is 10 years and in each year if you are going to be getting 3 faults, then the total number of faults are 3 into 10, that is 30. So that is within 10 years we are going to be getting 30 faults in the particular system. So the coming to average repair time, so we can express this average repair time as TR hours. So average repair time means it is the time required for completing one fault. So in the previous example, we are going to be getting 30 faults. So if you want to rectify one fault, if you assume that if you require 3 hours, that 3 hours is called as the average repair time. Coming to total downtime due to repair. So I already explained that downtime means it is called as the not survival time. Okay. So here we will be having two time intervals. One is total uptime, total downtime. So if you take any instrument or measurement system, so we are going to be explaining this uptime and downtime based upon the repairable items on the non-repairable items. So if you take the non-repairable items like resistors or ICs, so in those non-repairable items, we are going to be calling it as the uptime. So uptime means it is a total survival time. So within that time only, we can use that particular resistor or IC. So after the time interval, there is no chance of using that particular component. So coming to downtime, so this downtime is going to be expressed in terms of the non-repairable items. So non-repairable items means we can use those items after repairing also. So for example, if we take some transducers or some recorders, so initially we are going to be using those transducers or recorders for some few months. If you are going to be getting some repairs, Then after that prescribed time interval, that is after rectifying those faults, again we can use that particular instrument for our purpose here. So the time duration by which we are going to be making some repairs in that particular component, so that time duration is called as the downtime. That is, in downtime it is also called as the non-survival time of the particular instrument for the measurement purpose. So here that is called as the total downtime due to repair. So here total downtime is equal to delta into T into TR. Okay. So delta means it is the number of faults. T means it is the total lifetime. That is, delta T indicates the total number of faults. So in each fault can be rectified by TR hours. So the total number of hours required for rectifying the 30 faults is equal to 30 into 3. That is, we require total 90 hours for rectifying all the faults in the particular measurement system. So coming to total lifetime cost of failure. So total lifetime cost of failure is equal to repair cost plus process cost. So here in the previous formula, that is TLOC is equal to cost of failures and maintenance over lifetime of the system. So here total lifetime cost of failures, that is equal to repair cost. So this repair cost includes the material cost and the labor cost also. And the process cost includes the cost of lost production and efficiency. So if any system is going to be getting some failure, then we can rectify that failure by making some repairs. So that repairs includes the purchase of new material which is going to be placed in that system, and it also includes some skilled labor for doing the task, that is for rectifying those faults we require some skilled labor. So that includes the repair cost includes both the new material cost and the labor cost also. So while the particular system is going to be repaired, in that case we are not going to be using that system for the plant. The plant will be in the shutdown condition. So then we will be getting the loss of production in the plant, and the efficiency of the system is also going to be reduced. So these two includes the process cost. So the sum of the repair cost and the process cost includes the lifetime cost of the failures. So here we are going to be explaining the previous total lifetime operating cost only in terms of numerical values here. Okay. So here we are going to be giving one notation CR. CR indicates the average material cost per repair. So for one repair, what is the cost of the material we require? And CL indicates the repair labor cost per hour. And CP indicates process cost per hour. Okay. So then total repair cost is equal to CR into delta T. So delta T includes the total number of faults. So total number of faults into average material cost per repair, okay, plus CL into TR into delta T. So here delta T indicates the total number of faults, and TR and CL. CL means repair labor cost per hour. So and the total process cost is equal to CP into TR into delta T. So the total lifetime cost of failures is equal to, so total lifetime cost of failures means it includes the repair cost and the process cost. We are going to be adding these two. Repair cost means CR delta T plus CL TR delta T plus labor cost. So labor cost means adding the CP, TR and delta T. Then we will be getting this equation. So if you substitute the values in this equation, we can get the lifetime cost of the failure of any measurement system. So coming to lifetime maintenance cost. So this maintenance cost is going to be placed in any plant before the breakdown. So if you maintain the particular system in a proper way, then the chance of getting the failures in that particular system will be less. So this total lifetime maintenance cost does not include the processing cost. We have to exclude the processing cost. So here CM plus CL into TM MT, that includes the lifetime maintenance cost here. Okay. So the lifetime cost of the measurement error, that will be equal to T integration of C of E, P of E into D of E. So from these above equations, we can write the total lifetime operating cost as this way. That is, it includes both the initial cost of the system, cost of failures and maintenance over lifetime of the system, and cost of measurement error. So all these values are going to be expressed in this equation. So that gives the total lifetime operating cost of the particular instrument here. So before we are going to be choosing any system, the total lifetime operating cost of the particular system should be minimum. Okay. So in this case, we are going to be taking one example here. So if you take a plant, in the plant we will be having one reactor. Okay. So here in the plant we have to choose all the parameters like temperature, pressure, uh, volume, flow rate. So if all these parameters are going to be placed in the proper way, then only we are going to be getting the desired product. So if all these parameters is not maintained in the proper way, we are not going to be getting the undesired product. We will be getting undesired product here. Okay. So here we are going to be considering three cases. So first of all, we are going to be giving some raw material to the plant. So based upon that raw material, if you maintain all these parameters, temperature, pressure, flow rate in a proper way, then the raw material will be converted into our desired product. Suppose if you maintain undesired parameters like temperature, pressure, flow rate, then that desired product will be converted into undesired product here. So in this case, we'll take the raw material as A, our desired product as B, and the undesired product as C. So A is converted to B and B will be converted to C if you do not maintain the optimum temperature, pressure on the flow rate here. So here optimum is our desired values. So those are going to be expressed in the graphical form here. So here on the x-axis we will be taking the error and on the y-axis we will be taking the cost of penalty for the particular error. Okay. So here in this graph we are going to be expressing three. So figure A, figure B and figure C. So coming to figure A, suppose if you do not maintain our optimum temperature in the plant, then we will be getting the undesired product. So in this case, the error may be either 0 or positive or negative. So error will be 0 if you maintain the optimum temperature. So if you maintain optimum temperature, then we will be getting desired product. That is, we can convert A to B, raw material into desired product. Suppose let us assume that our desired temperature is 100 degrees centigrades. Suppose if the temperature is changed to 103 degrees centigrades, then the error is plus 3. That suppose if the error is positive, then also we are going to be getting some curve. So this curve indicates that we are going to be estimating some cost of penalty for rectifying those errors. So if you want to bring that 103 to 103 degrees centigrades to 100 degrees centigrades, we require some cost. So it includes all, that is a skilled labor or some material cost. So for that purpose only, as the error is going to be increasing, we are going to be getting this curve. That is, the curve is going to be bended. It includes that the cost of the particular error is going to be more. You have to estimate some amount of cost for rectifying that error. So similarly, if the error is also negative, negative means our desired temperature is 100 degrees centigrades. If you are getting 97 degrees centigrades, then the error will be minus 3 degrees centigrades. So if you want to remove that minus 3 degrees centigrades, it requires some penalty cost. That is, it includes either a repair cost or rectifying some faults in the particular system. It will include all those things here. So for that purpose only, we will be getting this curve here. Okay. So this figure A indicates the error which is going to be obtained due to temperature and what is the amount of cost used for rectifying those errors. So coming to figure B. So figure B means it includes the flow of product in the pipeline. So if you want to get the desired product, we are going to be estimating some amount of flow in the particular pipeline. So if the flow is going to be excluding that particular optimum value, we are going to be getting the undesired product. So here also, if the flow rate is optimum, then the error will be 0. So if error is 0, then C of E is also equal to 0. Suppose if the optimum flow rate is not going to be obtained, then the error may be either positive or negative. So if the error is positive or negative, then also we will be getting the C of E value. So in this case, if you compare the C of E value with the error, it will be linear. So linear means if you take the slope at any one point, it will be equal to 1. Okay. So in this case also, we will be getting some cost, penalty cost for rectifying that particular flow rate. So coming to figure C. So in figure C, we are going to be maintaining some level in the vessel. So in this case, if you want to operate the plant in a proper way, so the level in the vessel should be half. So if the vessel is empty or if the vessel is full, then the plant is not going to be working in a proper way. Okay, so if you want to maintain the level in the vessel in a halfway, then only the plant will be working in a proper way here. So here we have to check the level in the vessel continuously by using some systems, measurement systems here. So here also within this time interval the error will be 0 and the cost will be less. So after this range, as the error is going to be increasing, the C of E value is also going to be increasing here. So these three parameters, based upon these three parameters, we are going to be estimating the cost of penalty of the particular measurement system. So finally we can say that the total lifetime operating cost of the system should be minimum before we are going to be choosing any measurement system. Thank you.